It's 2:43 in the morning. The room is silent. A cold cup of coffee sits beside a laptop. On the screen, a blank document waits. The cursor blinks. Blink, blink, blink. Andy stares at it. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He has the research. He has the notes. He has the plan. So why can't he begin? Every few minutes, he reaches for his phone. He scrolls, puts it down, picks it up again, checks the time, feels guilty, then scrolls some more. His chest feels heavy. His stomach feels tight, and a familiar thought whispers in his mind. What's wrong with me? Maybe you've asked yourself that question. Maybe you've promised yourself that tomorrow would be different. Maybe you've watched deadlines get closer while your motivation moved farther away. Maybe you've spent years calling yourself lazy. But what if you've been wrong? What if procrastination isn't laziness at all? What if it's fear? And what if your brain has been trying to protect you this entire time? For most of his life, Andy believed procrastination was a character flaw. He thought disciplined people simply did the work. Successful people simply started. Strong people pushed through. And people like him, they struggled because they lacked discipline. At least that's what he told himself. The strange thing was that Andy wasn't lazy in other areas of life. He showed up for friends. He helped classmates. He solved difficult problems. He spent hours researching topics he loved. Yet whenever he sat down to work on the project that mattered most, something inside him froze. It made no sense. If procrastination was laziness, why could he work hard on things that didn't matter? Why did the paralysis only appear when the stakes were high? The answer was hidden much deeper than he realized. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on detecting danger. A sound in the bushes, a movement in the darkness, a possible predator nearby. The human brain evolved an alarm system designed to keep us alive. Its job was simple: detect threats, react quickly, protect us. The problem is that this ancient alarm system still exists today, and sometimes it gets confused. To Andy's logical mind, the thesis was just a document. To another part of his brain, it was something else entirely. It was judgment, evaluation, risk, uncertainty, the possibility of failure, the possibility of embarrassment, the possibility of proving he wasn't as capable as everyone believed. His emotional brain couldn't tell the difference between physical danger and emotional danger. So it did exactly what it was designed to do. It sounded the alarm, not because the work itself was dangerous, because what the work represented felt dangerous. And once that alarm activated, Andy's brain searched for relief. Anything that reduced discomfort. A notification, a video, a message, a quick distraction. For a few moments, the anxiety faded. The brain learned something important. Avoidance works, at least temporarily. And that's how the cycle began. Scientists discovered something fascinating about human behavior. We care far less about our future selves than we think. In fact, our brains often treat the future version of ourselves almost like a stranger. Imagine someone asked you to suffer today so that a random stranger could benefit next year. Most people would hesitate. Yet every day we ask ourselves to do exactly that. Work hard now. Sacrifice now. Be uncomfortable now. For a reward that may not arrive for months or years. The emotional brain hates this deal. It prefers immediate relief, immediate comfort, immediate certainty. So when Andy faced a choice between temporary discomfort and temporary relief, his brain chose relief. Again, and again, and again. But there was another layer to the story. A layer that explained why some tasks felt impossible while others felt easy. And when Andy discovered it, everything changed. For years, Andy believed he was avoiding the work. He wasn't. He was avoiding what the work might say about him. That realization hit him like lightning. Because the thesis wasn't just a thesis anymore. It had become a test of intelligence, a test of worth, a test of identity. As long as he delayed, he could protect himself. If he never truly tried, he never had to face the possibility that his best effort might not be enough. The unfinished project became a shield, a strange form of protection, because an unfinished dream can always remain perfect in our imagination. A completed dream can be judged, criticized, rejected, failed. Suddenly, procrastination made sense. Andy wasn't protecting his time. He was protecting his self-worth. And perhaps that's exactly what many of us are doing. Not avoiding the task, avoiding the emotions attached to the task. Unfortunately, avoidance comes with a price. The relief never lasts. Sooner or later, reality returns. The deadline gets closer. The task grows larger. The guilt gets louder. And then the shame arrives. I should have started earlier. Why am I like this? Everyone else seems to manage. Maybe I'm just lazy. Each thought creates more emotional pain. And that pain creates a stronger desire to escape, which leads to more avoidance, which creates more guilt, which creates more shame. Round and round the cycle goes. A loop feeding itself. A prison built from self-judgment. The tragedy is that most people believe shame will motivate them. They think being harder on themselves will create discipline. But for Andy, it did the opposite. The more he attacked himself, the more afraid he became. And the more afraid he became, the harder it was to begin. One day, Andy came across an idea that challenged everything he believed. What if self-criticism wasn't helping? What if it was part of the problem? At first, the idea sounded ridiculous. How could being kinder to yourself improve productivity? Wouldn't that make people lazy? But the research suggested otherwise. People who practiced self-compassion after setbacks often performed better in the future. Not worse, better. Because self-compassion reduces shame. And when shame decreases, fear decreases. When fear decreases, the brain stops sounding the alarm. And when the alarm quiets down, action becomes possible again. For years, Andy had been trying to beat himself into progress. Now he saw the truth. You cannot shame yourself into becoming someone you love. The voice in his head wasn't a coach. It was a bully. And the bully had never made him stronger, only smaller. The next morning, Andy sat at the same desk, the same laptop, the same project, the same blinking cursor. Nothing outside had changed, but something inside had. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" he asked, "What am I afraid of?" The answer wasn't laziness. The answer was failure, rejection, embarrassment, disappointment, vulnerability. And once he understood that, something unexpected happened. The fear lost some of its power. Because fear can be faced. Fear can be understood. Fear can be managed. But you can't solve a problem you misunderstand. For years, Andy had been fighting laziness, a problem he didn't actually have. The real enemy had been fear all along. Perhaps procrastination has never been your enemy. Perhaps it has been an overprotective guard. A guard trying desperately to protect you from pain, from failure, from rejection, from discovering that you're imperfect. The problem is that this guard often blocks the very life you're trying to build. So the next time you find yourself staring at a blank page, or avoiding an important conversation, or delaying a dream that matters deeply to you, pause and ask a different question. Not, "What's wrong with me?" but, "What is my brain trying to protect me from?" Because behind every delay may be a fear waiting to be understood. And behind every fear may be a version of yourself waiting to be set free. The person you become tomorrow depends on how you treat yourself today. So before demanding more discipline, try offering yourself a little understanding. You may discover that the thing standing in your way was never laziness. It was fear, and fear loses its power the moment you finally see it.